Welcome to Asian Ultimate Life's podcast number 2. This is Wednesday, September 16th, if in fact I got this out on time and when I wanted to get it out. This podcast is about Asian Ultimate, and it comes out weekly, I hope. Every week I have a guest or two, and we'll be chatting about news and opinions and rules and whatever else is going on in Asian Ultimate. This week I am lucky enough to have Coach Ben Ho here. Coach Ben is from Singapore, and we're going to talk Coaching Ultimate today. But first, I want to thank our sponsor this week, and that is Rubik's-Ware. Rubik's-Ware is the official merchandising sponsor of the Australian Mixed Ultimate Championships, which will be held in Adelaide this October. They sell awesome shirts and shorts and even gloves. Gloves! So, give them a shout at rubiksware.com. They will definitely set you up. You know a little bit about Rubik's-Ware, Coach Ben?
Oh, definitely.
They have some quality gear?
Yeah, I heard they have really good gear. Sublimation. Yeah.
Okay. Other things that are going on. I want to thank everybody who's been watching so far, and thank you so much for all the feedback I've been getting from Singapore and Guam and the Philippines, and I really appreciate the love all you're giving me. In specific, I want to mention some of the love I'm getting from Singapore right now. I know some representatives of Chucky's were quite happy to be mentioned last week. And yes, you will be mentioned again this week. But that's it. Chucky's, you need another result on the board. If you don't get to the finals of Turn Up Taiwan this weekend, you're not getting mentioned again. All right? You hear me? All right. That's all. Are you going to be headed up to Taiwan this weekend, Ben?
Yes, and in fact, I'm heading up with Chucky's. So I'll be playing the kids, the younger kids of Chucky's.
Okay, so you're bringing up 2 squads.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other squad is managed by Kuma and Angelina, and I'm heading off with the younger kids.
Great, man. Have a great time up there. Have a great time. Hey, Coach Ben.
Yes.
So, best known for coaching, but how long have you been playing this game that we know and love?
I think I've been coaching pretty much the same time as I've played, which is about 12 years this year. So it's been a really long time. And ever since I started playing, I've been coaching as well. Mainly Nanyang Poly, the team that I've been coaching for 12 years. And yeah, so it's been a long time.
What does that mean that you've been coaching as long as you've been playing? That's kind of hard to believe. How does that happen?
Okay, so I got in contact with Ultimate when I knew DK, this night's players. So there's this specific person, Stefan, Wei Liang. They saw me watching my friends playing Ultimate and invited me into throwing with them. And that's how it all started in Nanyang Poly. And after which I started an Ultimate Frisbee Club as an official activity in the school. And from then on, I started coaching the school and until today. Yep.
Now, how many teams do you coach?
Okay, I coach about 5 to 6 teams, depending on the season. So I have Nanyang Poly, Raffles Junior College, SIM, which is a university, Chucky's, and Cracker Jacks, as well as the national youth team. There's 6 teams. Yeah.
What do you find the most rewarding part of coaching Ultimate?
I think I enjoy growing players from scratch, like players who knows nothing about Ultimate. They come in not knowing how to throw a backhand or forehand, and in like 1 to 2 years' time, they are out there playing against big players from the different clubs and universities. And I think it gives me a lot of pleasure as a player and as a person. Using the tool of Ultimate to guide them and to let them grow as a person as well. So I think that is something that I really enjoy and keeps me going as well for all these years.
How do you see Ultimate as a tool to help in personal growth?
Okay, so when I coach Ultimate, it's not only about like skills or tactics. It's about how involved you are with the team as an individual and as a team. What can you contribute? How do you contribute on and off the field? How do you interact with people? How do you gain their trust? So it's about it's an overall development instead of just developing them as a player, looking at just how they throw a forehand, how they throw a backhand, but more of like how involved and how invested they are in a team.
How do you add those aspects along with the X's and O's and the just plain ultimate skills?
I think I expect a lot from my players. For example, I would expect my players to step up to do certain things. For example, like volunteering to set the fields, volunteering to take up certain responsibilities of the captains, managing administrative roles, be active in volunteering to do things that benefit the society and the community. And I feel that I will tell my players that I expect a lot from them, and they know it. So some people come and go; they don't believe in this. But those who stayed, I can proudly say that they became better person and better players as well. Yeah.
You mentioned that you've encouraged them to do work off the field for community and for society. Can you expand on that and maybe give examples?
Okay, so for example, we had a project with one of the communities, which is to teach Ultimate to the underprivileged, to the families who are underprivileged, and it's mainly it's voluntary. There's no money involved, and I was glad that a lot of my players took it up. They went down on a weekend, spending their whole weekend teaching young kids and adults how to play Ultimate. And I think that's something that when I saw them doing it and they are enjoying it, I feel that that's something that we have done well as educators there.
Who or what has helped inspire you in developing your coaching style?
I think I expect a lot from my players in terms of putting hard work, and it comes from a few people. I think one of them is my mom. My mom is really strict, and she is really particular about all the little small things, and I picked up some of it in terms of like manners, being a better person. And I think in terms of coaching and managing a team, there are two people who I greatly respect. Would be the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, the Prime Minister of Singapore, and Sir Alex Ferguson, former manager of Manchester United. So these two people are great men that I look up to, and my coaching style takes after them quite a bit as well. I do rule by iron fist at some point of time, but because I think it's necessary to at some point of time to enforce discipline and to manage the team. But I get to meet Mario from Rise Up. So I think that communicating with him and learning a bit more on the coaching side with more technicality did help, and I really learned a lot in terms of how to manage coaching in a more systematic way and more technical way as well. Being able to produce greater results in a shorter period of time. Yeah. So.
How do you find coaching college versus coaching club?
I think comparing the two clubs and schools that I coach, I think coaching schools you will need a bit more to enforce a bit more discipline, especially at the early stages, to enforce that focus on basics, focus on discipline, management of different things. But I think for clubs wise, it's a lot of treating them as adults and knowing that they know the value of learning certain things, and you expect them to conduct themselves more seriously. So I think for that, I do coach my clubs and colleges differently. I don't really scold or raise my voice at a club level, but at the school level, sometimes you need to just to enforce a bit of discipline. And I think pretty much other than that, it's about the same. I do expect the same things and the same level of discipline, intensity during training from both the colleges and the school and the clubs that I coach.
So, you've been coaching for 12 years, and you've made a lot of mistakes and you've had a lot of success. What are some pieces of advice you would give to folks who are just starting up coaching, or even folks who are experienced coaches?
I think first of all, you need to know your intention of coaching. You need to establish that. Some coaches, they just want the glory or like to be in power. That will not last you long. So I think the intention to coach is very important. It has to come out from a pure intention of wanting to help people, wanting to help the team to grow the players. And after which, I think you need to determine what style of coaching you should adopt. So the second point would be knowing yourself well enough to establish the kind of coaching style. So for example, I am more vocal, I'm more aggressive, and therefore my coaching style is more of you hear me very often on the field. The different coaches with a different personality and style should work towards your own strength and avoid trying to replicate someone else, because you are not them. You have the same personality, so it will not work. And I think the last thing is, regardless what kind of personality you have, I think you need to be really passionate. And if you are not passionate and you don't love coaching, you will not last long. Your players will be very convinced when you are passionate, and they can hear it from your voice, they can see in your eyes that you're passionate, and it'll rub off them, and I think they'll do really well knowing that you are very involved and invested.
I'm going to shift away from general coaching for a second and talk about some very specific coaching that you've been doing lately, and specifically at Singapore Open, which was a very exciting tournament, especially for you, Coach Ben. Your teams did very, very well. In the men's division, Cracker Jacks came in the top 2 spots, which is pretty exciting. And it was a pretty evenly split squad, wasn't it?
Yeah. We split the squad according to age. So we had a younger team called the Fresh Meat and the older team, Well Done. So it was an interesting split because considering that the older players, we don't know whether we could survive without the younger players, and whether the younger players could have the nerves and be calm enough to nail the spot. So I think that it was a pretty risky move, but it was a fun move by all of us, and I think it paid off as well. So it was really a good weekend, especially on a Friday day for us. Yep.
And so can you remind us who won? Was it the old folks or the young folks?
Well Done won the Opens division. I think that the younger kids were slow to off the blocks in the early morning where we played each other. So, or maybe he gave us a chance. I don't know. So, but I think the kids went on to win all their games, which did us a favor as well. So it was a pretty good showing by Cracker Jacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams did really well. But it's nice to see the old folks win. And I don't want to generalize, but yes, older players are better than younger ones. Okay. Actually, can I ask you, where does the name Cracker Jacks come from?
We were brainstorming for this team, and basically, it just one of our team managers, Hui Fang, came up with this name. It means all-round excellence. So I think it pretty much explained what we wanted. All-rounded players who would do everything, and so that's how we came about with this name.
In the mixed division, Chuckies, who you coach, came out number 1 seed after Saturday, after beating Shiok, who represented Singapore in Lecco, Italy at Worlds and finishing in the 10th spot. But Chuckies went ahead and beat them and everyone else on Saturday to take the number 1 spot. On Sunday, they ended up in 4th place, which is still a very, very, very good showing in Singapore's premier tournament in the year. How did that happen?
Honestly, I'm surprised as well. I didn't really expect that because last year we went AB and it didn't go very well. So we were like, okay, we need to reorganize. And so the executive committee and I sat down and we decided to go 2 even teams. So in the name of development, and it was a 2-year program. So this was the first year, 2015 was the first year of the 2-year program. And I think by having 2 even teams, it brought about a lot of competitiveness during training. And we had equal scrimmage time, we had good scrimmage quality, we had good intensity throughout training. And I think that helped in bringing up the standard and to force the younger and the newer players to step up because they can no longer rely on the bigger players. And yeah, I think it paid off well during training. And I think one more thing that we tried to enforce was keeping the team spirit up. So we enforced we wanted our players to be spirited. We wanted our players to have fun, and while keeping the intensity. And I think that that did bring the morale up throughout the whole weekend. And you win as a team and you lose as a team.
And I was going to ask about the choice to go even teams because this is Singapore's premier tournament and one of the strongest tournaments in the region. And this is not a tournament that other Singapore teams would go even teams in. And I don't believe any of the other top clubs considered doing that. So it's an interesting move, which definitely paid off. How did the other Chuckies team do? They did quite well as well, didn't they?
Yeah. So Chucky's Stout was the one who went top seed after first day. Chucky's Lager was the other team. They finished 4th after first day, and after that they lost to Chinese Taipei in quarterfinals and eventually finished 7th. I think should be 7th or 8th. So and then Stout finished 4th. So I think it was a 4-7 or 4-8 finish. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the 2 very good results for an even squad, an even split squad.
Thank you.
That's it, Chuckies. That's all, guys. All right, we need another result, or you don't get mentioned again. Okay. Hey, thanks for that. And now I want to bring us to a segment that I call Contest or No Contest. Okay. I'm going to give you 5 different statements, and I just want your answer to be contest or no contest, and I will probably be asking for some clarification as well. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, here's my call. Ben, all serious Ultimate players should wear gloves.
No contest. Preferably Rubik's Rare gloves.
Boy, you like this Rubik's Ware thing, don't you?
Yep.
I personally have never worn gloves. Well, I tried in, I believe it was the winter of '94. I believe I tried to wear gloves.
That's like 10 years before I ever started Ultimate.
It was, when you're playing in freezing rain and snow, gloves make sense. But really, in the heat of Southeast Asia, you think players should wear gloves?
I mean, up to individuals. I think that while it really helps at certain point of time, I think some players get a mental boost by wearing gloves because they believe it's better. So, I mean, whatever makes you a better player.
Okay, so Rubik's Wear is selling a dream.
And hope.
And hope. Okay. All right, my next call. You ready?
Yep.
Observers will make Asian Ultimate better.
No contest. Okay, but I would like to clarify this.
Go ahead.
I'll say that at this point of time, I think it's the consistency of the calls in terms of all the games in Asia, because different countries they play differently, and their understanding of the rules may be different. So I think that by having a unified way of conducting the calls, at least for a short period of time or extended period of time, will help to coordinate and synchronize the understanding of the rules throughout Asia. And after which we could consider doing without observers, because I think at this point of time there are some countries or teams who are not consistent with calls. So I think it's a consistency that we need to enforce.
Okay, interesting. This is one suggestion that I've never heard, that we might move towards observers, then move back away. That's really interesting. This is a topic which, of course, deserves a lot of discussion, but there are other interesting topics, and here's one right now. Here's the call. No fish is worth more than Singapore $500 unless you're going to eat it.
No fish is contest.
Please do tell. And there is of course context to this question.
This is a tricky question because I come from a fishy background.
I know.
I think in Asia context, depending on feng shui and all that, it can be worth more than 500, and in fact more.
Can I ask, what is the most expensive non-food fish you've ever seen sold?
I think it would be the fish that I have at home. It's arowana, so that's my family business, and it goes up to maybe 2,000 to 3,000 a piece. Yeah, so that's one of the more expensive fishes around.
That's an expensive fish, and you will not be eating this fish?
No.
The next call. Ooh, talking about food. The one food everyone should try in Singapore is chili crab.
Contest. I think there are a lot more other nice food in Singapore. Considering that chili crab is going to be expensive, I would suggest that you spend the same amount of money eating 5 other food in Singapore, like chicken rice, rojak, prata. There are so many other foods that you can eat with that amount of money. Yep.
Fair enough. I had me some nice chicken rice when I was in Singapore. Hi. Okay. Oh, and finally, within the next 5 years, Chucky's will win mixed nationals.
Okay, this is a good one.
I won't make you answer that one. I won't make you answer that one. And that pretty much brings us to the end of what we're going to be chatting about today. So I want to thank you, Coach Ben, for taking the time to chat with me this week. This has been a lot of fun for me. And this week's trivia question, or last week's, the only person to correctly actually comment on the YouTube video, which is where I wanted the answer, was Chris Koo. Yes, that was the flag of Courier Island. Chris, here is your AsianUltimate.com, the podcast shout-out. Good job, Chris. Okay, this week, trivia question. And the first one to answer in the comments section, doesn't include you, Ben, to answer in the comment section of the YouTube video. Last weekend, we had the Singapore University Games held in Singapore. And in the ultimate competition, who won it all? That's all I want to know. Please comment in the YouTube section, in the YouTube comment section, and you could perhaps win an AsianUltimate.com, the podcast shout-out. So, from Asian Ultimate Life's Command Center in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and from Singapore, Ben Ho, thank you very much, Ben, once again. And thank you all for listening, and I will catch you all next week. All right, later.